Yeah. All right. Seems like a lot's happened since last time we talked. Even 2 weeks ago, we welcomed a new team member to the team. Andrew Major, or just Major, has joined us. So he's been welcomed on the forums, but you can welcome him here, even though he's not on screen.
Hey,
Hey there.
sorry, I'm on my phone right now walking. It's a little windy, so I'm going to mute.
All right. Ermin, it's not true. It stays in your stomach for 7 years. Gum goes through your system.
Prove it. Eat a bunch of gum right now.
So a few of the things that I wanted to discuss were some of the upcoming things to get involved with Smart Things potentially. In addition, I want to do a little bit of a roadmap preview, although we're going to get better at sort of sharing high-level roadmaps just all the time. It's nice to be able to share that information more casually. We're getting a lot of traction on the chewing gum question. Seems like that's been resolved now. What else I want to discuss? We are going to be doing two exercises in the coming weeks that I'd like to have feedback on. One is we're going to be really diving into the feedback that everyone has given us about the IDE improvements. That's been a great thread. We're distilling that now and sort of feeling out where that all can fit in our other priorities. I think in the coming week we'll have the priorities list shaken out of there and maybe present it back then to the community to see what they think. The other thing, I think that we are talking about doing is another virtual workshop, and we'd like to have feedback on the types of things that people would like to see. It could be a similar concept to the Smart App workshop we did earlier with Matt. It could be a slightly different thing. It could be a more advanced session or a more focused session, but we're open to feedback on that because we'd like to do those fairly regularly to get people indoctrinated into what writing smart apps is all about and answer questions that people might have. All right. What else? Anyone else that's joined from the Smart Things team have anything that they would like to talk about tonight? Bob, I guess that means we didn't get the go-ahead for the GitHub stuff. So another week.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll be able to have that rolled out in conjunction with the next one 2 weeks from now. But we're not quite there yet for this week, so I can answer any questions, but I wasn't going to go through it in detail.
Yeah.
So closer to the time it's going to be available.
Right. I'm really excited about that one. I know that one, the GitHub integration did come up in the IDE tools improvements list, so I think that'll be a great one. And I think for us, we're just working through a few of the final details about some of the devices that we might not want to have out there or whatever else. One thing I did want to throw out there is we are looking for people in the community to spotlight in our newsletter that goes out periodically. So it's pretty easy to answer a few questions and just send us a few photos. And so if you are interested at all in being interviewed, let us know. We've already got one of the interviewees is on the call. All right. What else is new? All right. Well, I want to do a little roadmap overview while people think of questions. this is going to be super high level, and I don't even if I had some of the detail on some of these things, well, most of the things I don't have a lot of detail on, but if I did have some, I don't know how in depth we want to go. But there's some immediate term things that we're working through that we should see even yet this month. One of those things is a Logitech integration. It'll be the first version of it, and it won't be like fully advanced, but it'll have good. It'll have both way communication, so you'll be able to like use the Logitech remote to control SmartThings, as well as use SmartThings to activate certain Logitech functions. Logitech Harmony, I think, is mostly what we're focused on, but it's very interesting. I'm excited about it. Just some of the scenarios that it enables is like, sort of true media room things, or, movie watching mode can actually do some of the things that you really, you might have wanted to, as a movie starts, you can have the lights turn down or whatever. I'm hoping to see more of that soon, but Gilbert's been leading that up, and I think it's coming very soon.
Yeah, that's a very exciting one.
Yep. I think SmartSense, there's a new SmartSense device. You've seen some of the rollouts of new devices that are kind of replace some of the old ones. Additionally, there'll be a SmartSense temp/humidity sensor that should come out soon. And in addition, in that September-ish timeframe, there's also something that we're calling Hello Home Actions. That might blur into October. I'm not sure, but that is something from within the Hello Home feed. You can get messages that actually have actions on them. So Gilbert could even go into this a little bit more, but as an example, you get a message that says like, this light turned on because a trigger event, and then you could tap it to turn it off, or you get a camera event, tap to view, things like that. I don't know how many actions they're going to be at the out of the gate, but it's a new way of interacting with SmartThings. I don't know if everyone is. Hold on. I don't know if everyone's seen it, but you can also set hello. There's a setting in the app, I believe, that's still there that says, when you get a notification from Hello Home, like open to Hello Home. And I actually find that fairly useful because a lot of notifications are coming in via Hello Home messages. Being able to like go right into that and then perform actions could be quite powerful. I could see some security scenarios or some other things where you could just use that.
Yeah. I think one very scenario that we are looking forward to is it tells you that your garage door has been open for the last 15 minutes. Do you want to close it?
Mm-hmm. From a smart app developer standpoint, and I don't know that we're opening this up quite yet, but there's no reason to think that we can't open that up to smart app developers, in the future, for them to be able to like, when the notification comes through, put that in. I don't know if that's going to be part of this first release or it's going to be a subsequent release. But I think that could be very cool. Those are sort of like the tail end of this Q3 of 2014 time frame. And then, we've got a lot in store for like Q4. I think the specific months get a little blurry, but there's a number of things through the end of the year that we're excited about. Improvements to the labs device, all the labs things, especially the LAN connected stuff with Sonos, Hue, and Duncan. I think that's all in the works. Greg's had a question. Hello Home Actions. Can you add an action if no response is received? Let's see. Gilbert, do you know if someone will be able to add in an action if no response is received via Hello Home Actions? I'm not quite sure on the. What was that? Gilbert, are you riding your motorcycle right now?
Here, I think I can. I think what the question was is, you will be able to create a notification and have actions that the user takes. I think the question was, if you had something like, some sort of alert, could you have an action that would happen after some period of time if nothing happened, kind of a timeout?
Right. That's what it sounds like.
I think that is, we've definitely discussed that in conjunction with some future things. I think that'll probably not be part of the first release, at least from the developer's point of view, but it's clearly on the roadmap to do that, so that you could have and you could still have, you could kind of do it the other way around. I mean, you could do that now. Well, not now, but when it first comes out, you could do something like set a timer in a smart app to say, sound the siren, which is very loud, and then create a notification that said intrusion detected, siren will sound in 30 seconds, and have a button that turns the siren off. So you could kind of switch it around and do it that way. So we're not going to provide explicit timers within the action, but the app could always set a timer and define an action to cancel whatever that timer was set. So I think you could probably accomplish most scenarios. And if there are ones that you can't, we'd like to hear about that, and we'll look at adding that in future releases.
Yeah. Ermin, you just mentioned temperature offsets. That's something that's in today, right?
Yeah.
What is your problem?
It's not my fault. Interim just walked in.
All right. Yeah. I mean, so if you haven't seen the temperature offsets, or if you know about the the SmartSense Multi, for example, had a plus or minus 3, I think, tended to be what we would say was the variance, and people would continue consistently see things like 4 or 5, even 6 degrees higher or lower than other devices were reporting. So now you can actually do that offset with that. I saw something on the forums, and someone should remind me what it was. The new motion and the new temperature sensors within the new devices a bit more accurate. Have people found?
To me?
Yeah.
Have you?
What was the question?
The new devices, the temperature sensors within the new devices were supposed to have been calibrated a bit differently so that they report better, more accurate.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
All right.
My fault. Intern is taking my attention away from this.
Why isn't he on the call?
Interns aren't allowed on the call.
So yeah, there's that. That's one for today, the offset. There was just a production push today. Is there anyone on the call that can speak to some of the highlights in that? Bob.
Yeah, I suppose that should be me. I think that they're mostly not user visible things. There are some changes to kind of setting the stage for some internal changeover we're going to make in the way events are stored internally, but don't have a whole lot of user facing things. I think mostly the user facing changes fall into the device type, the preference changes we just talked about.
Right. There's an internal discussion about what level of granularity people would like to see in release notes. And I think people on this call are going to say, I want to see everything granular wise. I think, we have to strike a balance between, the very minutia of what release notes would have versus some bigger blocks. And I don't know what people's thoughts are on that. I'll open it up at least for that. I'd like to start posting our release notes on the community site, really frequently whenever we have a production push.
Yeah, I can see us at some point actually having a more public-facing release notes as well too. That's not deep within our community.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, we have them in the app releases, but for cloud work, I don't know if it like really belongs. I mean, we could do a blog post on it, I guess, at a consumer-facing level. But I think giving the community here at community.smartthings.com more of a look wouldn't be bad. Just more detail because they tend to want it.
Yeah, I think we could look at that, and it's probably a set of everything that the general user base would want to use. Obviously, would include things about the IDE per se, but also perhaps some other things that might have implications if you're writing, like it won't be coming out right away, but part of these internal changes we're looking at making will probably open up more flexibility for querying for past events and things like that. And so we'd want to make sure we cover kind of the implications of that.
Right. Well, yeah. All right. That sounds good.
I think one other thing I would mention, it's not being released. We don't have details about it, but one of the often requested things revolve around having validated phone numbers, so someone doesn't type in a phone number, for an alert that sent an SMS to a grandmother in Kansas who starts complaining to us and along the lines like that, and also more granularity about notifications. And so kind of don't have anything to discuss in detail yet, but that'll probably be coming out pretty soon, and will start to affect smart app developers, and that there'll be some additional ways of setting up apps that send notifications other than the current blast of notification to everybody you've shared your account with. I know my wife personally will appreciate that once that comes out. So she'll get fewer notifications from our house that she doesn't care
Yeah,
about.
that's right. That's one of the things that is on the roadmap for Q4. We're basically creating an area where more contacts can be managed, and especially in the cases of the spouse or the other people who are living with you, being able to add them in as a different kind of account user would be really great. So I'm excited about that. Patrick Stewart has decided to type instead of talk.
I hate interrupting.
How about speeding up the IDE? It's been insanely slow lately. I'm interested in this because I've been seeing slowdowns as well, and I didn't know if it was because the number of smart apps I have in my account, or if that doesn't make any sense. I know certain screens it makes sense. Like when my first smart app screen loads, because I'm reviewing a lot of the smart apps, I have like 25, 30, and it's like really slow. But just in general, Bob, have you seen IDE slowness?
Yes, I have. And we're looking at doing some things about that. Some in the short term, along the lines of optimization. There's some places in the IDE where when we made the change to allow more dynamic smart app preferences, and so you could have multiple page smart apps like the ones we use in some of the labs apps and elsewhere. That was done in a way that was not really optimal, and there's some cases where we're like loading every device type there is, kind of behind the scenes in the JavaScript, the IDE. So to answer the question, one, I have seen that myself, and I'm frustrated by it as well whenever I'm working in the IDE. And so I think we're going to look at doing some of those optimizations in the short term. And I'm hoping that by short term, we're talking about, by the next call. And then longer term, a lot of some of this internal refactoring we're doing has addressed general, more caching of domain objects and general performance changes, which I think will impact the IDE as well. So between the two of those things, I hope to start to be able to address that problem starting relatively soon, and then continue to make improvements as we address overall system scalability and performance.
But like, for example, right now, just trying to load a device type, we're talking 10 seconds.
Yeah, it can be very slow, and some of that I think, well, like a lot of those things, we'll have to see when we've identified some places that are kind of low-hanging fruit, and I'm hoping that those will have substantial impact.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just 11K worth of data. It's obviously a server response issue because it's not a transfer of data. It's a processing behind the scenes that seems to be slow. So it just looks like an overloaded server.
Yeah, and so some of the, there's definitely been a lot of caching work hasn't been deployed to production yet that will hopefully address some of that.
Well, it's making it extremely frustrating to develop anything because when you have to wait 10 to 20 seconds between clicking on anything or running anything, it's just it just drags on and on and on.
Yeah, I think that there's a few things that Bob mentioned that we're going to be doing, including switching our whole data store over to a new thing that is definitely going to be more performant. But I don't know if there's things we can do, like basically low-hanging fruit, although I'm sure much of that has been picked to get it working faster in the short term. But like Bob was saying, in the next 2 weeks, we're hoping to make some of those quick fixes. So yeah, that's good to note that is that much of a hindrance right now. We do not want to make it bad, especially since we use the IDE for a lot of our own development as well. So,
have you guys thought about splitting off some of us developers that are probably loading it pretty heavy, separate from the consumers?
Well, I mean, that stuff's already spread across multiple servers. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Bob.
I don't know if that'll be the exact, way we break it up. Part of what we will probably be doing is have not necessarily changing the code base, but deploy, different kinds of servers that are each optimized for certain things. So whereas now, we have one set of servers that handles the IDE and a lot of basically IDE client API calls and execution of smart apps. We'll probably be segmenting that and starting to examine each one and look at where the performance bottlenecks are. I mean, the one, as with most web apps, though, I think that the problems that you're seeing right now are probably mostly database oriented, and so splitting the app servers up is probably not going to, until we get some of these caching layers in, it's probably not going to increase the performance a whole lot. And I'm not sure what that noise is, but someone's showering or something.
The funny thing is on screen, it's an animation of water dropping.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. No, it would be nice to get it sped up. I mean, I've just noticed a significant drop in performance. I just figure it's because I got all the Control 4 stuff working on it, but that's.
No, we would send extra mojo your way for that.
Well, I got 120 Zigbee devices ready to get paired over, so I wonder if it can actually handle the load.
Wow. Well, just don't load up that devices screen.
Well, that's the problem. Is it just took 18 seconds to pull up my device type just for the dimmer itself, and it's
the
code. It's not that
big. And I mean, those are it's not like that's an edge case necessarily. We have a lot of people who have in the high double-digit numbers of devices, and we want to make sure it works well for people as well. But yeah, that's interesting. All right.
Load my Blu-ray and DVD library into this. Like my raw project file that I can grab from Control 4, I think is 18 gigs or 18 megs. I'm sorry. So.
Well.
How much RAM is on that little hub?
Not even the new one will have that much.
So we can stream that up to the cloud some way, like an image.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'll have to write something else as an intermediary. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, no, that's good. Keep feedback, keep things coming about that as well. Keep talking also about what things you'd like to hear on this call. We do have a good contingent of Smart Things people, so let me know. I'm going to just finish up with the sort of the roadmap preview through the end of the year, kind of some of the stuff we're working on, and then we can open it up to more questions. But so late November, early December, we were talking about doing one thing called HTML tiles, which will allow developers to use, to make things look a little different and to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript basically to affect how tiles look on like device tiles, things like that. It's something that the team just sort of huddled on just in the last 2 weeks in terms of like determining which direction to go if HTML was the right choice. And we're thinking we're gonna make it prove itself that it isn't. That's kind of our thinking right now. And so that I think that should be exciting. I think it opens up some more opportunities for people to affect the way things look. It also is going to make sure make sure that we are have our ducks in a row from a process standpoint and like a submission application acceptance standpoint, because obviously once you open up things to some extent, it makes it easier to make things either ugly or try to do things that we don't want people to do, like pull in porn or whatever it is. So we're going to be doing some things to like help make that transition smooth, but we're going to allow people to make HTML tiles in the app. So there'll be a lot of things. It's not just tile related. There's some other parts of the app that could be benefit from HTML, but that's kind of exciting, and it's a big part of what we're doing in the coming months. We're talking about some more premium offerings, basically like incident management type stuff. So if you can set up something like if something happens, escalate it to this group of people, maybe someone who's outside of your household, maybe it's your neighbor. When I'm in vacation mode and this incident occurs, notify this person. I think there's some opportunities for like a lot of stuff like that. It could be a person, it could be a plumber. When I have a leaking event and I'm not home, notify my plumber. So there's things like that we can do.
How do you have a leaking event and not be home? Sorry.
Steve B had a leaking event earlier. Yes. And then some of the other things that we're talking about doing, we're investigating, and I don't want to. I still don't know the extent of this, but we're investigating both streaming and recording video, elements within the app. You can go both ways, and I think everyone would say yes, I want that, but like I don't think most people want like smart things to really stand up a video recording like cloud service. So I think that there's some more things to investigate there, but how we could more effectively use photos, streaming and recording in the app is under investigation. I don't know, Gilbert, if you have any other context in that one.
Yeah, I think that's more along the lines of kind of the extension of what we've already built with like photo burst, where you can take 10 shots if there's a motion or some type of trigger, but extending that to actually capture a video for some period of time. I don't think it's going to be recording. I don't see us recording 24 hours a day, a constant stream for you to draw back from, but actually making it work with other things in your house.
Well, could that work in conjunction with the HTML tile to load in like an RSTP stream or an HTML stream from a camera and not record, watch live video from that side of things?
It could, but I don't think that the value is actually to watch live video, but more to capture something if something bad at your house was happening. Not necessarily that you want.
I could see, if you get notified, you're not home, and your front door open, being able to like watch that camera is interesting. And I agree. I think the HTML tiles does open up some opportunities for that. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's just like because this HTML tiles thing happened even after we started talking about the video stuff, I think we haven't really like meshed those two ideas into like, oh yeah, that could totally happen. So I think go ahead.
I don't think there's been discussion talking about streaming and HTML tiles yet. We'll see where HTML tiles even goes. It may be something that may not work out in the long run and that we may scrap, but we'll see.
Yeah, as long as, the problem with the HTML tile is you'd have to be, either the cameras would have to be public facing or you'd have to be VPN'd in if you're remote, because you wouldn't want to be streaming that through the cloud back down, but to the app. But if it was just open a local connection and hit a local IP address and then show that web page, that would really be all that you need.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't use an HTML tile for that. We'd just pick a library on the phone and use that. We've done something like that before, but the HTML tile is more for like serving basic stuff.
Just displaying content.
Yep, not like things like library, like video streaming is something you really want a base library for in each client.
Sure. Along the lines of an HTML tile, are you looking at any kind of way to get like a data list using the native iOS or Android list views?
For like, from where?
Well, if I've got a device that I need to, show a whole bunch of results, for example, like Sonos playlist.
Yeah. So instead of showing like an ordered list with like an unordered list with like little bullets, it's actually a list that shows up like in iOS, like different like lines. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine
list tile.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that will happen, and it's just how much like help can we give out of the gate, or how much guidance versus like just throwing the doors open and saying this is what you can do, have at it.
Yeah, that's kind of the trade-off and some of the discussion of this HTML tile, and the reason, as Ben said, we're kind of letting it prove itself. I don't think this is an either or, but there's also expansion of the tiles we have into more different types, including tiles for lists, and that's what kind of prompted some of this experimentation. Is do we want to go down to the path of creating table tiles and list tiles, and in some cases we may want to. The reason we didn't build this as a kind of an HTML-based app to begin with is to have native controls and to make it more performant. So I think it'll probably be a mix of those things, but if all you're doing is formatting some data into a table or something like that, it's attractive to let people do that using HTML, something they're familiar with, and not reinventing every possible way we could display data.
The only other things I've got, was to sort of close out the year, and obviously this isn't fully, everything that we're working on. There's a number of other things as well, but there's Hub v2, which we're thinking of as actually a January release. Who knows if it'll push into like months after that, but
Q1 is not January.
Q1, we'll say.
March 31st.
March 31st, right?
It depends who you
Q2,
ask.
maybe Q3.
Depends who you ask, but right now, if I'm asking Alex, it's like, yeah, that's January. The other thing, and not to steal anything away from the Hub v2, which is going to be, by all accounts, more robust, have a bit more functionality, have Bluetooth in it, where it wears Gecko. And then also now, yep, there it is. Discount for V1 owners are already asking for it, or maybe instead of a discount, it's like give a friend your V1 and like do something with V2. Yeah, who knows? We'll figure something out. Hub
Put
V2
the V1 in a cabin and
yeah. There's also this idea of like loading both Zigbee and Z-Wave radios on a little USB stick and being able to shove that in the back of any Windows-based machine. It's very interesting. We're calling it Z-Stick, and we've done some things with that already, and it works as a fully functional hub in the back, just basically on a USB form factor. So it's very very cool. That one won't have Bluetooth in it, but I mean it opens up more possibilities and also decreases the cost of getting people onto smart things.
Yeah, because the cost is really high.
Yeah, well, and the cost of the USB stick would be, hopefully we could like get it so we could like give them out at conferences.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Now there's been a call to see Gilbert's Awesome Dog. I don't know if that's going to happen yet today. Oh, there it is. It's pretty awesome. And then, the last thing I wanted to touch on, so close after our new devices have launched, but I think at some point in Q1 of next year, we're also going to be releasing a group of sensors that we're calling like micro sensors right now, but basically they're non-amplified Zigbee radios, so we can actually condense the size a bit, and so that they're going to be a smaller form factor than the current SmartSense Open Close, for example, and there'll probably be a new SmartSense presence at that time. And so like these are the smaller devices. They maybe not have the range of the amplified Zigbee radios that we have now, but for certain uses they could be really good. That sounds like a lot. There's obviously a lot of other things in here. There's improvements to both the Android and iOS app. There's likely a start on some tablet stuff, although nothing to be released at all. And then there's things that are just like we know people want, and I just saw today across the desk of the lead designer, but showing device labels on tiles all the time instead of shaking, some stuff like that. So we have a lot of stuff that we're working on, but feel free to ask more questions as you see them.
Is that Ben? What? Oh, this? Oh, this is just my brand new Samsung TV made by Samsung. This build.
Urban, you want to tour us the office?
I actually thought about it, but there's a lot of sensitive material around here that we shouldn't probably put on camera.
So that's why we lock Urban in a room.
There's not sensitive things over there. Just
not our.
I think we know where the leaks came from.
We have no idea.
Okay. Well, okay, so Ermin is in our new.
This thing is recorded.
Yeah. Ermin's in our new Palo Alto office. It's downtown Palo Alto. It's very nice. I can tell you that when I get down there in 2 weeks to do the call, I will give us a tour of the place.
It's not our stuff that's sensitive. There's just
I know. I just won't show that stuff.
Well, I can do that now, but I don't know. They probably get weirded out by that.
Yeah. So yeah, what else we got? We got a few minutes more to talk about stuff. What are we interested in talking about?
As always, I want to hear what other people are building.
All right.
There's no one working on anything right now.
Well, you know that like without very much help at all, Patrick's got like Control 4.
I know Patrick's working on a lot of shit. Don't stay silent.
Okay, fine. Let me talk about what I'm working on. I'll talk about it. I'm going to call out to any community developer because I put it out on the forums. I had a really cool Halloween app running in Control 4, and this year I want to beat it, and we'll probably tax the heck out of your servers for one day, but hey, it's one day. So I started a community repository on GitHub for a Halloween smart app. I wrote roughly the raw structure of it. But the app that we had before essentially created a creepiness factor, which was a random factor that would set dimmer levels, trigger different relays, devices, various other things, play a track on Sonos when a doorbell rings, all that fun little stuff that we could do. But I think it'd be a great kind of advanced smart app to write. It has one day a year functionality, but I think it could really be a real fun community exercise to get people to see how to really write pretty much anything that can interact with anything. So that's just a side project. Obviously, I don't know what the reaction to that is, but figure we'd try to do some crowdsourcing with that and see if anybody else wants to pick it up. So we've got enough time, Normally I pick these things up around October 29th or October 30th. I've learned from it. I've learned that the room that my wife is going to be handing out candy, make sure that there's a toggle switch so you don't annoy her when you go out with the kids and walk around for 3 hours at night. And hopefully in Minnesota here, we don't get 30 inches of snow this year, so we can actually enjoy Halloween. But it's the haunted house thing. It's kind of neat. It's kind of fun. So this week's been crazy for me. We got Zigbee Control 4 devices paired. So we've got a dimmer, keypad, bunch of other stuff that I haven't even talked about yet, but they are HA profile compatible, at least for sending on-off commands. Everything else is custom. Working on reverse engineering that, but I'm pretty confident I've got some of that worked out. Clearly, the latest Ember firmware upgrade for the Zigbee enabled that. So everything I've been trying before didn't work. A heads up that actually would have fixed it would have been nice, but glad it worked. So we're good. Along with that, with the latest firmware, raw socket TCP packets have been sent. So I have a prototype of sending commands to Control4 over port 5020 to turn on or off devices. The problem is, to get a list of those devices, you got to parse the project file, the giant project file. So even the smallest projects are huge. So, but we can turn on or off devices. So if we can get a list of devices, we can turn them off and on and set levels and all that fun stuff. That also means we can trigger room events, room on, room off, that type of stuff, all kinds of fun stuff. So we're close, but still need a big piece of getting the response back from raw sockets. There's nothing coming back that we can see here. Another fun one, just because it annoys me that my dog jumps up on my bed, is Sleep IQ integration with Sleep Number. They have a nice little web page with a nice little API that'll tell you how much motion is in your bed. No jokes there, please. But it can tell you whether or not there's presence in your bed. And my dog likes to jump up on my bed, and I just want to play a nice little alert and take a photograph of my dog jumping off the bed and being scared. So stupid little project, but
Dan Lieberman just got one of those beds.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he said he was going to take a look at it too, but he's never home.
Did you jump on it, Elvin? Did you jump on it?
No, I'm not legally allowed within 300 feet of his house.
But there'd be fun things like setting Sleep Number levels, getting access to the sleep data, determining whether or not you're actually sleeping, all that kind of fun stuff that we might be able to wire up to it, violating the terms of service, but I don't really care.
On that large response thing, I think I was talking to you about this, Bob, a while ago. The response will actually get there and be parsed, but it's too big for the log.
Yeah, and I noticed that when I wrote an Ubi screen scrape, basically a web page scraper to split through that, and I was able to walk the divs and actually find the content. But that's the problem I'm running into with a lot of stuff on the HTTP GET and HTTP POST requests, is if it's a large response, you've got to just do it blindly. And
it won't hit the log debug thing.
Yeah, it would be nice for one. It'd be nice to just say response too big, no log, recorded. But the fact that it literally just shows nothing is like, did it work or did it not?
Right.
Well, that would be useful.
So what we can do in the hopefully the next release or two is to at least we're looking at probably just truncating it. It is in the longer term, we're looking at trying to deal with logs and possibly even use some different tools for the way we're queuing them and maybe even persist them for a short period of time. But at least we absolutely we should just truncate it or say something, not just silently fail, and we should get that fixed pretty soon.
Yeah, hopefully that would just be helpful to just say, hey, it failed. It'd also be nice to have some sort of tail or more function where you'll just where we can specify return the last 100 lines or first 100 lines or something along those lines if the response is too big, just because sometimes you're only looking for that last 5 characters in a response. It'd also be nice to log to a text file if we could ever have access to that, because then you could just store this stuff and parse it offline if you needed to. Which is what I'm doing behind the scenes.
Right. And so that's, we're looking at changing the logging for our internal logging for our servers, all these messages, and so that's one of the things I think in the longer term, we'd like to expose that. Obviously, we need to do that in a multi-tenant safe way, but not only to let you do that sort of thing, but, a problem that we encounter a lot in handling support requests is someone says, my app didn't fire, at 7:42 this evening, and it's pretty hard to go back through the server logs and figure out what happened there. And so being able to go in and drill into that app for whatever it is, the last 24 hours or whatever, and be able to tail the logs for that app is something we're working towards.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten an answer yet. I saw that the at least the raw TCP send exists, but is there any plans to support UDP packets as well?
I doubt that will be until Hub v2.
Okay.
So I wouldn't look for that on the current hub, but in Hub v2, I think that's going to be a possibility.
What about parsing a response from the device, and not as a UDP, but as a TCP packet? Right now, there's no response coming back that's being accessible.
Right. Other than, yeah. So I doubt that there'll be a whole lot of. I mean, we should probably take that up with the hub guys, but I would expect not a whole lot's going to change on the V1 hub in the LAN connected.
I can get a response from a web-based product locally.
Yeah.
So why can't I just get the raw ASCII data coming back from the device?
Yeah, it's just a question of the development priorities are making the changes on the V1 hub at this point, I think.
Okay. Well, as long as you have a nice upgrade path in January, we'll be fine. I mean, Q1, I mean, summer of next year.
Yeah, I think we can follow up on that particular point. Maybe there's something to be done there, but in general, we're not doing a whole lot more work on the V1 hub.
All right, I'll shut up now.
All right. I see there's some show and tell by Eves with some Arduino stuff he's been working on in the chat stuff. Ermin, have you been following that? Do you know what's going on?
No, I haven't.
Why do we even invite you?
Who are you people?
Just show off that great Samsung TV behind you.
Oh, this TV made by Samsung?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, what's the deal with that Samsung smart home videos featuring Mr. Hasselhoff?
I mean this TV right here?
It's pretty funny.
Kind of still on this TV, so.
Yeah. I think that there's still some things to work out with us with regards to like how the smart home teams in Samsung like see smart things and how smart things is like positioned along with those things. So I think that's just happening between now and the end of the year, and hopefully at the end of it, they'll see that they should just go with one horse smart things through that stuff. So I think that all this stuff has sort of been in the works from even before the acquisition. They were working on smart home stuff for years, so hard for them to let go.
I don't think Hasselhoff has anything to do with us at the moment.
Or could he?
The kit.
Mm-hmm. That was good. I did saw that thread on the forums. What else? I'm trying to think. Anything else interesting that's happening in the next couple?
But Eves is posting some of the stuff that he's been working on. It looks like some type of sensor for his 3D printer.
Yep. Eves, has that been posted to the community site yet?
Is that a humidity sensor? That blue?
Yeah, he said it. Yeah, it is.
All right, so
go ahead.
I kind of posted on Smart Apps launching custom device types and how painful it is to try to roll that out from a community member here to others. Is there any plans to change how that process gets executed?
So do you mean how it gets executed once you hit, like...
For example, no, I mean, the issue is, if I write a custom Smart App that's going to spawn child device types, right? So, for example, a Control4 device, a Smart App that's going to detect Control4 controller and then spawn a bunch of light switches, right? Right now, I have to install the custom device types first in the IDE, and then I have to install the smart app, and it becomes a painful maintenance process across the board here. So I'm just curious if there was ever any consideration to, say, embed a device type in a smart app so you can install and trigger the command to send the device type and the device at the same time.
Yeah, we've not considered that, or it's the first time I've heard the issue raised. And so the issue is just having a separate entity for the device type being separate code from the smart app. That's
well,
the problem.
yeah, but the problem is the general user experience is they got to log into the IDE, they got to create the device type, and creating the device type and then pasting the code in and all of that. Then they got to go over to the smart app, add a new smart app, paste the code in, and maybe this will get better with the GitHub integration. I don't know, but then once they're in the smart app, then they got to switch back to the app, launch the app, discover the devices get installed, and then if you need to make a change to the device type, I got to tell them to go update the device type, or if I got to make changes to the smart app, it'd be nice to be able to maintain all of that in the smart app and just be able to have a section in the smart app that is the device type.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have plans for going that way. And in fact, there's also been requests for kind of the opposite, which is to break smart apps up into multiple artifacts so that things can be shared. So
yeah, well, and that would be nice too. But,
I do think, so you're talking about a scenario where you're essentially sharing this with other community members in kind of the development mode as opposed to publishing it.
Well, even if I published it, it would allow me to protect my device type. Right now as a community developer, if I develop a community smart app, I have to, and it requires a custom device type, I have to publish both sets of code, and the community user has to go into the IDE and paste the device type code. It exposes the device type code. There's no way I can protect anything in that process. If I understand your smart app publishing guidelines is if I publish my smart app, the code isn't necessarily publicly shared. If you release it, all of that's there. But if it's dependent on a custom device type, my only option is to include all of the code on the device type in the smart app.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the publishing mode, as far as this being published and being available to general users, neither the smart app nor device type has to be, the code doesn't have to be public for either of those, for those things to be published and to be able to be used by other people. If someone else wants to share your code and jointly develop with it, then they need to see the code. So
you're saying there's a process to submit a device type just like a smart app?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, the submissions can include, in fact, one submission can include the device type and the smart app.
Okay.
Or if there's 5, like in the case of Todd and the Quirky, there was 4 or 5 device types and one service manager app. So one submission can do that, and whether that code goes in a public, what's going to eventually be a public repo or a private one, is up to the submitter. So the fact that it's a separate, artifact doesn't
yeah, I mean,
doesn't mean that one thing has to be released and not the other.
Yeah, it's been an age-long debate with the Control4 group is, public code, the nice thing is I can review it and see exactly what's going on. Private code that's encrypted or I can't have access to it, I have no idea what it's doing, and I'm allowing it to trade-off. It's one of those things. I've adopted, an open standards policy with this stuff, but some of the stuff that I may have to do here in the future is going to be reverse engineering folks, and I don't necessarily want that code out in public.
Yeah, and so that's an option now. If you submit, a service manager and a device type that you don't want to release the code, you can make that submission now. And keep it
Good to know.
Getting that shoehorned through our submission approval process is still a thing, but yeah, I routinely see smart apps coupled with device types as one submission. So.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything that they'd like to add? Matt, you've been fairly quiet, but you're the one who led the last couple.
Yes.
You want to call to. Wow, you got some weird. I'm hearing myself, but you should post a thing on the forum about what people would like to see in the next Smart App Workshop.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, like Ben said earlier, just do we want something similar to what we did last time, more advanced? Do we want, just take suggestions from the crowd? But I can post something on the forums and kind of call out, see what people are interested in.
There's already a thread, so maybe piggybacking on that, see what people think.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Well, I don't know. I think it was pretty good. I think we gotta do a call out for Todd Wackford to join again. He's been absent for months now. I know he's been busy and he's been doing stuff, but we got to get him involved again, and a few others. There's a few other people who are pretty active, but then not on these calls. So I'm going to find out why. And again, if you are available to be interviewed, it's a very low key process using Google Docs. We'd love to have your story and how you've found smart things so far. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and look for an email next week with some more details on smart app development and what's going on with smart things. Yeah.
You guys.